To gain awareness is one of the important aspects of spirituality. Awareness, being aware of ourselves, thoughts, words, actions, strengths, our weaknesses, our prejudices, our ideas, impressions, opinions about ourselves. We need to be aware of all these things. Such an awareness is what is achieved through meditation. Meditation provides that inner space within the mind where one is able to appreciate one's existence as to what one's mind tells, the stories that is being weaved by the mind about ourselves, about others. And such awareness gives the strength within ourselves. It brings out our true nature. That is the reason that every day meditation is practiced. A simple reason for meditation is, many people will say, stress relief. But that is only a trivial reason. Much deeper, much stronger reason to perform, to sit and meditate is to discover ourselves. We are in that journey. Every day, by sitting and observing ourselves, thoughts that flow out of the mind without any effort, involuntarily, thoughts emanate, they just flow out. And inspecting each and every thought as it just crops up in the mind. Is this thought really I wanted to go with it, pursue it, or I just let that thought go away? By inspecting such thoughts, we know clearly which thoughts should be entertained and which should be discarded. That is the purpose of meditation. And once we know that these thoughts are not essential for me, these thoughts are taking me towards the ruin, the path of ruin, and these thoughts will destabilize my very existence. By being aware of it, we are cleansing ourselves. Our mind is being purified on an everyday basis. Otherwise, what else is we can do? Tell me. By taking bath, we purify our physical external body. But is there anything else by like taking bath? Meditation is taking bath in for our inner being. Just like if we do not take bath, we know what happens. This body just stinks. And we know that truth because we experience it on an everyday basis. And that is the reason that we take bath twice a day. Now, when we take care of it for our body, but our inner being, if that is not being bathed on a daily basis, you think about it, thoughts are just tarnishing our image, destroying our true nature, just like how dirt will spoil our true beauty of our body if we don't take bath. Thoughts of bad nature will ruin our inner being. And what is it that we need to do for that? taking bath is essential. Taking bath to our inner self is important. And the only way is through meditation. Meditation equips one to be aware of not just thoughts, but also of one's words. What am I about to say? Is this word that is going to flow out of my mouth? Is this essential? Because first we have done the audit of thoughts, then naturally the number of thoughts have reduced. And all those thoughts are the most important thoughts that is going to elevate us, because we have ruled out this thought is not necessary, this thought is not necessary, this thought is not going to help me, this thought is not going to help me. Now what we have is a handful of thoughts that we know for sure that these thoughts are going to advance me in the path of spirituality. Then with those thoughts we start talking. That is why most of the times talking less or going without talking for a day or two is in fact a good vrata. We all observe Ekadashi vrata where we don't take food for one day. How about to not talk for one day? I'm going to just be with me, myself, and my thoughts. And I'm going to prune that. I'm going to purify that. I'm going to get rid of thoughts that are not necessary. And we do that to our house. Once in a while we go around the house, stuff that are not needed, we just get rid of them, give it to goodwill, give it to donations, give it to trash them. We don't want it because we wanted our house to be clean, spick and span. But what about our mind? Have we taken any efforts in order to make sure that we do an overhaul of our mind? Thoughts are clogging in there, and naturally we experience anxiety, depression, pressure, or an overexcitement, or there is no balance, right? So that is the reason that we need to meditate on an everyday basis. How do you do meditation? It's very simple. Anyone can do meditation. Meditation is not just few minutes, but just being aware of yourself. You can practice it initially by sitting in a room alone, closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, focusing on your thoughts. What thought it is? Okay, my mind is, and being an observer. That is most important, because if you are just looking at your thoughts, it is easy to just associate with them and go with it. Last night I saw a movie in that hero was doing this heroine was doing that, he was going there, and then you are already lost. That is not the purpose of meditation, not to identify yourself with those thoughts, but to observe as a witness. Oh, this thought is coming here now. What do I do with this thought? Yeah, I know that I watched a movie, but why is this thought now in front of me? Do I need it? No, I'm sitting here to observe my thoughts. So let me drop it off. Once you drop that thought with awareness, that thought is not going to return to you again. Then another thought will prop up. Something like it has happened the previous day when you were walking in a mall, you saw your friend. That friend might show up right in front of you, and you will just wonder, okay, yeah, I met him. Again, I met him or her, and you will start going, associating yourself with that thought. We are lost again. The purpose of meditation is not to lose ourselves in those thoughts that occur, but to maintain a witness consciousness where we are just witnessing thought one, thought two, thought three. And I know what this thought is. I don't want it. But this thought, yesterday I visited this temple, and there the alankaram or the decorations that was made for that deity was so beautiful. That thought is worth, let me stay with that and enjoy what I can recollect. Or yesterday, I was just helping a person who was in need of some help, an aged person. That thought is good, and I'm being aware of it, and again, not being fully identified with that. Such inspection will help us gain more insight into our own nature. What type of person I am? End of the day, how do I know it? Right? Others knowing about myself is one thing, and me knowing about myself is most important. I've been living in this body for so many years, and we not knowing ourselves there cannot be more pathetic situation than that, right? We not knowing ourselves. How do we know ourselves? Is by introducing ourselves. What does that mean? By starting to inspect thought after thought. Then we purify ourselves. Then we know that we have removed those unwanted thoughts by doing daily, right? Not just one day I just sat, now I know that. But it is like the dust that occupies a mirror. You just place a mirror in front of, at the door front somewhere. Due to the traffic, the dust gets accumulated on the mirror. So what do? Clean the mirror. After a while, next day, again, the dust will just fall on it. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we clean that mirror on an everyday basis. And our mind is the best mirror because it reflects the society, right? Ourselves as well as the society. Mostly ourselves, how we reacted to the outside situation. We know ourselves with the help of the mind. And by doing that process on an everyday basis, we become more aware of our actions also, not just thoughts, not just the words, but our actions. Right? Where I scream, where I don't scream, where I yell at someone, where I don't yell at someone. It's not yelling or not yelling is good or bad. That is not the question. But just being aware of, oh, these are the situations in which I do not talk back. These are the situations I do talk back. These are the situations that turns me off. Such knowledge about ourselves is the first step towards spiritual journey, and that will help us to weed out our mind without any incorrect assumptions that we have, incorrect knowledge about the outside world, about people. All those things are gone. Then we can start appreciating the beauty of our inner space. That space now that is created with thoughts that are just purified, then we will have more luxury and liberty when we identify ourselves with that space. Now that in that space, there is no room for anxiety, there is no room for unhappiness, contentment, because I am already aware of it, where I am unhappy. And I know the reason behind it because I inspected with my mind. Oh, I'm unhappy in this situation. That doesn't make sense, because when I look back at, we are just arguing against our unhappiness because we inspected thoughts. Then that gives us the true strength where we can start making faster progress. That is the reason meditation is not an end. Most people think that, okay, I do meditation on an everyday basis, and that is the end. That's not an end goal. It is just the beginning. Meditation is the beginning, but that should be carried all through the day. It's not just that I'm done with the meditation. Being aware of what is happening within ourselves and also within others as we speak, as we do things. Is my mind working okay? Is it generating thoughts that are helpful to me and also for others? Is my body, is my mouth uttering words that are in line with my thoughts? Is my hands and body aligning with the words that I say? Right? Then we are living as a single entity. Otherwise, mind one side, body another, and our mouth will be saying few words that are totally in discord with the other two. And also being aware of others. So once the awareness within ourselves happens, then we will be able to appreciate others much better. The anger that we have with respect to others, or the jealousy, the envy, all the negative feelings that we have been holding about others, we know for sure that they are all not true. How do we know? Because we inspected them and we have discarded that. And also, when we do that, we end up with no thoughts at all. And that is the state that we wanted to be in as part of meditation. When you begin the meditation, thoughts are not going to let us go deeper. Thoughts are there. Their nature is to bother us. So they will just bring in this thought, that thought, that. So we consciously removing them, so one by one, slowly. Then we reach a state one day, that day where mind is totally inactive, thoughts have died down. That is the state of blissfulness. That is the state we all are aiming for, where once we get to that state, there is no question of words bothering us. If somebody yelled at me, what kind of dad you are, what kind of mom you are, you're not able to take care of your children. Somebody yelled at us and that bothered us. How can he ask that question? How can she ask this question? Those words is not going to bother anymore, because the mind itself became inactive in the process of meditation. And so out of that, pity comes. Oh, this is the state that everyone can be in. But unfortunately, they are all, others are stuck with that words and feelings and emotions, and they are not able to meditate. That is why, unfortunately, they are also caught into that web of words and meanings. In order to do that, we have seen last week that Krishna was asking us to do the actions with the yajna, an attitude of yajna, which we saw that it was a sacrifice. Do it as a sacrifice. Sacrifice also means puja, deva puja, as if you are doing a puja to a god. Perform it that way. Do not have any attachments, but whatever that you do, just do it as a puja. And that is when you can get to the level where your thoughts will zero out, where your mind will die down and you see that bliss within yourself. That is what Krishna is driving us towards, because the connection between why we need to do as yajna has to be known. Otherwise, no one is going to do it as a yajna, right? We all were used to seeing this body as me, this five senses as me. That's a thinking that we all have. This body is me. Wow. Who are you? When you ask yourself, who am I? Immediately this whole body, we go and stand in front of this mirror and say that this is me. But that is not us. That is a deeper, it is just that awareness is what we are. If you just close your eyes, whatever the awareness happens to us within, that is what we all are. And we unfortunately started associating ourselves with this body, this five senses of ours. And not only that, the mind, the buddhi, everything, we think that they are all the identification of us. No, they all are performing independently. In our body, they all sit and they do actions. They don't care. They don't say that, good, that you are recognizing me as you. No, they all perform their actions on their own. Only we think that they are us, right? That is why there is a story. They say that there was a rich merchant who had a beautiful parrot, when the parrot was very, very young, he put that parrot in a cage. That cage was a normal steel based cage, and he carried that cage with that parrot wherever he went. And the parrot was so loving, and he loved that parrot so happily. But this parrot, since it was living inside that cage, the parrot was thinking all along that that cage belonged to, the cage also is me. The cage is not the parrot. The parrot is just inside the cage. But then the parrot didn't know about it. The parrot thought that the small, nice door that his master, the businessman, opens and gives food is something like an organ that belonged to me. That is me. That is me. That is how it was thinking all along. And whenever, after a few years, whenever the merchant got more money, he will replace that cage. The steel cage later on became a silver cage because he loved that parrot so much. But and he did it, he doesn't want to disturb that parrot. Whenever that parrot was sleeping, he used to remove that parrot from the cage and he used to put it in a new cage. And then when after a few months, few years, he replaced it with a golden cage. And then lastly, when he wanted to put it in a last cage, which was decorated with gemstones and everything, the parrot was asleep all this time whenever he made the move, because when it was sleeping, he wanted to just gently replace it. But at that time, the parrot was a little bit awake, and the parrot was also a little bit matured. Now, when he replaced that new cage, that is when the parrot saw that he was being taken out and the cage was separate, and the parrot was standing and witnessing that cage, and a new cage was standing next to him. That is when the parrot knew that the cage was not me. It was not even part of me. It was just a cage into which I was living all along. So that is the true existence of ourselves. We are not this body. This body is this cage of that parrot. We have been placed into this cage. And but we have been thinking that this body is ours, just like how that parrot had been thinking that cage is also itself, right? Its own body. That is how we have been thinking that this body is me. Now, if that thought has been there all along throughout our life, then um, we are not making any progress in our life, and a happiness and unhappiness, we will swing between these two. There is going to be no escape at all. And this whole universe is created in a way that every human who is born that way. And that Brahman, or whatever name that you give, Vishnu, Narayana, Brahma, or anything, that Brahman is making sure that let that parrot, which is you and me, realize that that body is not himself or herself. That is when they can get to the next world, the moksha world. Until then, let this person be born again and again until that person realizes that this body is not himself. Let him or her stop pampering this body, feeding the five indriyas. Let him be aware, let her be aware that this indriya, feeding the indriyas and making, gratifying the indriyas is not the end in itself. They are just part of it. They are, and this body is doing its job. That body's nature is to just go behind enjoyments. But our true, that parrot, which is us, who is sitting inside, our true nature is to fly, just like that. Parrot's nature is to fly away freely, right? But that parrot was caged inside that cage, and the parrot start to think that the cage is my body and cage is me, and it lost everything. The freedom was never there. The moment that that parrot realized that it is not there, then that parrot was free. Same way, until we realize that within ourselves, we experience that there is no escape in terms of we are locked inside this body as a prisoner. As a prisoner. In fact, our Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita's essence, or Vishnu Sahasranama, if you read, the essence is this Atman is a prisoner inside this body. That is our existence. The way we should not say our Atman, because Atman is us, right? Me, I am that Atman. I am caged inside this body. That is a correct definition of who I am when someone asks us, right? That's how we should describe. And that thought, that frustration that I am stuck in this body, I'm stuck in this body, I'm a prisoner in this body, that intensifies, then people become that bhakti, then they will start looking out for ways. How can I get out of it? Because imagine that parrot, the parrot, if it knows, until it doesn't realize that the cage is not his body, he's not going to think of escaping, flying out freely. But once it realizes that this cage is not my body, but I have been arrested and put inside this cage, that is when the need for escape happens. So the need for escape should intensify within ourselves. Then that means that I'm not this body, but I've been caged inside this body. How can I free myself up? That is the question, intelligent question that all the yogis ask. Why are they just roaming around Himalayas for no reason or just for meditation? No, the only question they are asking is that, how can I get freedom? How can my Atman, or I can free myself from this cage? That is the question. So you can underline, write it in block letters, put it in your living room. I'm not saying that. I didn't do it myself. But the question is, write it in your mind deeper if you are in that spiritual path. And if you are looking for what should I do? Ultimate aim is that. And moksham, the word moksham, you can see is freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from that, where you are freed, your Atman, which is you, are freed from this body. Then where does it go? It doesn't go anywhere. It just stays here. Because once that is realized, then that person who is experiencing it appreciates that that Atman or me is not this body, but I'm just a part of this universe, the universal soul. This soul of mine is just a part of that universal soul, and I'm no different than that universal soul. So then that oneness, that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that thought descends, that oh, we all are, everyone in this world is indeed that Atman, who is different from this mind, who is separate from this body, this mind, this buddhi, and everything. And so we all belong to one group. There is no difference at all. So that nature, that is what we are aiming towards, and that is what we are making progress towards. So always the destination is important. In the middle of the Bhagavad Gita, the reason I'm saying all this thing is we are all listening on a weekly basis. We should know that where we are headed. That's why when you are boarding the flight, they are announcing that you are headed here, right? And this will reach in this much time, and the tailwind or headwind, whatever that is, they announce. But unfortunately, we don't know about that. The tailwind and headwind depends on how much we all are making progress. Knowledge will help us push our aircraft faster, right? That is why jnana Vairagyam is a determination. Jnanam is this listening, reading, listening. Reading and listening is not just enough. Thinking is more important. Thinking means whatever that we learned, whatever that we heard, we need to analyze and just see, reason out ourselves. Because at the end of the day, it is not what you heard matters, but what you heard and what you processed in your mind. And that processing, it takes a while. When we are listening, everything seems like makes sense, good. After that, it just evaporates unless we process that. Once you process it, it just stays within us. That experience stays with us. If somebody describes to you that this is how Grand Canyon is, and you just listen to them how Grand Canyon is, and you just, oh wow, good. Will that stick with you as an experience? No. After a while, you will just not even bother about it. But instead, if you go yourself and see it, experience it, then that Grand Canyon experience sticks with you a lot. That is why listening is not just enough, or reading is not just enough. Reasoning out in the mind is most important. Every shloka, whatever that you listen, it's in the YouTube, and you can watch it again, analyze it. Okay, if this means that, then what is happening? Every shloka is relevant to us. It's not that it's been told to others, right? It's been relevant to us, and we have to apply it in our life. So we need to ask, how does this work? When I end up with this, what will happen? Questions are our friend, especially in our spiritual path. Questioning will help us to make progress. No questions, then that means either we understood everything or we don't understand anything, right? If we have understood everything, no one is there yet, right? So most likely it is like we are not understanding, or we are just accepting everything. Never, especially in spirituality, never accept anything. Even whatever that you hear, whatever that I'm saying also, you can ask, like, why should I accept? Do we have a proof? And that proof should be established within ourselves. Whatever that I say also, we should accept it as a proof within ourselves. Then it is not a point at all, not a established fact, unless you yourself accept it, right? So that mind is needed. So with that, we just, I know a little bit took longer today, but to make sure that destination should be clear. That is where we are headed. And that is what we are headed incrementally, using the help from Bhagavad Gita. With that, we will just start today's. So last week we saw about verse 14, where Annad Bhavanti Bhutani Parjanyadanna Sambhavah Yajñad Bhavati Parjanyo Yajñah Karma Samudbhavah. And one more, Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi Brahmakshara Samudbhavam Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yajñe Pradishtitam. That was the shloka that we saw, wherein the idea was that food is needed for life. All this Bhutani, people in this world, live because they have food. So food sustains life on earth. Now, how do we get food? Crops, fundamentally, right? Crops should be there. If no crops are there, then there are no meat, because what do buffaloes eat? And if we start eating other animals, then that's going to be like, animals have to eat some grass, right? Some crop that is grown on it. If everyone starts eating everyone else, then no one will be there on earth. So something should be there on the ground where the living beings can eat. So that is what crops. And for the crops to grow, fundamental thing is we are dependent on rains. And for the rains to happen, Krishna is now saying here that yajna is important. And that yajna to happen, actions should be there. Unless we do actions, where is going to be yajna? For example, we've been asked to, let's say, we are asked if someone is just landing in the SFO airport and you just volunteer, I can pick you up, don't worry. And you just pick them up and then you just drop them at home. And that without that thought that I picked them up and it's I who am helping, you're doing a good job, but still that idea that I am picking, I am doing it, I'll always be helpful, right? Such kind of ideas should not be there. I'm just doing it as a yajna, put to Bhagavan. That is all. There is no thought beyond that. Nothing at all. I don't even remember picking you up. Did I do it? That is how we should be. If someone says that, remember last time 2008 you picked him up, yeah, I picked you up because I always do it for everyone. No, then it's gone. So that is what is yajna, right? Sacrifice that you are doing it for, even though you are doing good, do not even attach yourself to it, because you are not doing it because you are not your cage is doing it. Now that we have an example, parrot is not doing it, right? Parrot is sitting inside, but the cage, which is this body, which has this hands, this mind, this buddhi, nothing is ours. That cage is doing the work, and so you didn't do it. That cage is doing because I am directing that cage. That's what Krishna is saying. This cage, do you think that can operate with your help? No. This cage or this body of yours is being every moment activated by me, which we all see, right? Our brain, what thoughts will occur in our brain, we don't have any idea at all, even though we can forcefully think about something, but that's not useful. But when we are interacting with others, when we are talking, how do we talk? How do we, right? We don't know how we are doing it. And internally also, we don't know many things, how it is working. So everything is activated automatically. They are working. So do not even take yourself as the doer. So just arpanam, just give as an offering, whatever that you did as an offering to me. That is the best way, where you will not develop the ahankaram and the mamakaram. Otherwise, I am doing it, this is mine. Those thoughts are the biggest enemies in the progression of spirituality. Not just the progression of spirituality, even for normal happiness also, that is not going to help. We know that very well, right? So in order to get rid, if you go to a medical professional, okay, and ask them how can I get rid of ahankaram and mamakaram, they cannot give any ideas at all. They don't know, because they themselves are in that ahankaram and mamakaram. So there is no cure for that, and they won't even accept it as a problem in the first place. What is wrong in it? Yours, it's yours. It's you, it's you. Just think about it. That's what they say. But that leads to many other problems that we only know, right? So that is the reason we need to stay away from that I and mine. How do we stay away from that? The cure is to do it as a yajna. That's what Krishna is saying here. And then he's saying that those actions, that's what he is saying clearly, karma brahmodbhavam viddhi. Where do that actions they come from? They come from that Brahmam, or you can think of it, Arjuna, they are coming from me. That Krishna says that I am the one who is the doer in you, sitting inside you and doing it. So do not ever say that you are the doer. Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pradishtitam. With that, he says that therefore that Brahman, which is the super soul or the universal soul or Vishnu, whatever name that you give to it, or Brahman or anything that you give, right? That is what you can say you can say she. If you think that Mahalakshmi is the one or Vishnu is the one, they all are together, one and the same, right? And or you call it as, no, I don't want give any human personality to it, I wanted to call it as a Brahman, which is just that is also okay. And no, I if you say that, then I'm not enjoying it. Then I want it to be like a baby, then think as Krishna, right? Which is excuse me, So think of it as Krishna, where you have more love and affection, or think of it as, I know I don't want some babies or any such thing. Think of it as a Rama, who's the ideal, the king, and who just you are based on whatever liking one has, one can accept it. But that was the one that is triggering and making us do the actions, and therefore do not take the ownership. And that Brahman is there, right? That is just established and living on only yajna, that just expects you to do yajna. So the tasmat sarvagatam brahma, that is not elsewhere, anywhere else. That is there everywhere, the omnipresent, that is all pervasive. All pervasive, we already know the meaning of it, where you just switch on the light in a room, just like the light rays spread and it occupies the whole room. Same way, all pervasive Brahman. That means all pervasive, everywhere is filled in this universe. And that all pervasive Brahman expects us to do yajna. Nityam, always. Brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam. That Brahman is established in yajna. That Brahman is always lives on yajna. So that means that it is just wanting all of us to perform the yajna, right? And then the next one is the most important shloka, where we see about this shloka, which is the evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayah aghayurindriya ramo mogham partha sajivati. So evam pravartitam chakram, that means that this chakram is chakram, you know what it is, a disc, right? A wheel. A chakram is the wheel. This wheel is created by me, Arjuna. This wheel, in the sense like this is a ongoing thing, right? A system. You can think of it as a system, where you start with this a workflow, and you go to the next step and next step and next step and next step. That is the wheel. So Krishna clearly says, I have created this wheel. Evam pravartitam chakram. This chakram is created where food is needed by the humans, and food will be given by rains, and rains will be produced when yajna is done by the people. And when those people do the yajna, when they do as part of their actions, and those actions are given by the Brahman, right? And that Brahman rests on this yajna. And so this wheel, only when they do the yajna, they will get the rain. When they do the actions, they do the yajna as yajna. And when they do the yajna, they get the rains. When they get the rains, food crops will grow. When the food crops grow, then that humans who have done the actions will be able to live on this earth. Now we know why Mars is called a red planet. Maybe the people who are living there didn't do the yajna and it was burnt out. It's just a theory that I'm building, and it's not mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. But what we derive from that is this, right? Precisely. If humans wanted to live happily, then they should do the actions. Inaction is not allowed. Inaction in the sense like, no, spiritually I'm evolved. I wanted to go just say Krishna, Rama, and then sit, keep quiet, and I'm not going to do any work. That is not an option. You will have to get down in this world and show your might, whatever that is, right? And perform actions, whatever actions that needs to be done, wherever you are at this time of life, right? We cannot do, there is no modification at all. You don't have to, do anything different for karma yoga, wherever you are. But wherever you are performing those actions, as long as you apply your mind and rule out actions that are not allowed, that we had already mentioned, those actions, qualified actions, do only those qualified actions that are needed for livelihood, For example, I go to work, and should I do it or not? Of course you can, right? What type of work? Again, terrorist, I want to become one, so that I run my livelihood. My kids have to eat. Let me go steal. That is my job, right? I'm a thief. Let me become a thief so that I steal some shops. I feed my baby. I'm doing a duty. Can I do it or no? Of course, you know that you cannot do it, right? So other than that, anything is perfectly all right. If you're working somewhere or you're doing we already learned the story of Dharma Vyadha. If you remember, I told a story about Dharma Vyadha, where he was a butcher, meat cutter. Out of no other way, he had become a meat cutter, but he performed the karma yoga, and he became he got acquired those powers of duty. That's what we saw some time ago, right? So that was, even when someone can be being a meat cutter, a butcher, he can perform the karma yoga. Then people like us who are doing normal duties, jobs, just for running our livelihood, we can always do it, as long as we do with an attitude of yajna. What is that? In order to enhance that idea of what is the yajna, right? Puja, yes, of course, we can associate that doing work as a puja to help others, not to have any association to ourselves, and also not to be greedy. Because the moment I become greedy, right, I wanted to do this, I wanted to enjoy this, so let me go and then work. If I do this, then I'll get a bonus of 50,000 rupees or dollars. So with that, I can go on the world cruise. Let's say, I'm just giving an example. Yesterday, someone was here and we were talking about world cruise. So I wanted to go on a world cruise. So let me go do more work. That is like that. Bhagavad Gita didn't say that you should do it. Whether to do it or not, I'm not saying that you should not do it. It's up to you individually. But Bhagavad Gita, what it says is, do not pamper yourself. Just for pampering yourself, do not go do that work. Do any work, perfectly okay. But same work, do not do it with a mindset or attitude to pamper yourself or gratify yourself or to be happy. Happy is, again, it's an incorrect word. You can be happy about whatever that you are doing, and for my happiness I'm working, but for gratifying myself. Last year we visited this place, this year I want to go there, but if I want to take my family there, I needed some extra 25,000 bucks, so let me go do my overtime and then do that. Is what is Gita says, you are going down the path of enjoyment. You can still do it. I mean, the Gita cannot stop you. Gita doesn't say you should not do it, but then you are going far away. Everything has a cause and effect, right? What you do, you will meet with that is a cause. The effect will be there. Again, you will be going to be born again and again. You can enjoy, keep enjoying, right? As long as your enjoyment alone. But the life doesn't seem to be only enjoyment. There is both, and less of enjoyment and more of the other side, right? That's how anyone would say. And now, this chakram I have established, the wheel of nature. This wheel of nature, if anyone doesn't follow, he says clearly, evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati hayah. Whoever doesn't follow, whoever doesn't contribute to this by not doing it as a yajna, then those people are just living a wasted life. Mogham partha sajivati. Mogham, they just are wasting their life. As long as they are just living to satisfy their indriyas, gratify their indriyas, not doing any action for as a yajna, then they are just wasting. Its life is wasted. I don't have anything else to say. We used to say, right? If they are doing this kind of thing, then, what can I say? They are just wasting. That's how Krishna is ending it now. So what is that yajna? Even little bit more, we'll analyze it in this, so that we take home a well-defined way to live the Gita way, right? Well-defined meaning, so that we apply that in our real-time life. Now, one thing is whatever that we do for ourselves, we do it as a yajna. Other thing, once you start doing it, right, what will happen is eventually we start to think that I should help others. So right now, if you look at it, helping others, living for others has become it non-existent. Nobody is talking about others. How can I help them? That the panic is not there. Okay, yeah, poor guys, they are just going through a hell. I just that sympathy words won't help. What is it that we have to do to go out and help? How can we be of help in this world? Such thoughts will naturally start happening within ourselves, and no one needs to. We don't right now. If you ask many people, will say, "What I'm ready to do, but I don't know what to do." Where are the people? I wanted to go and help, but then I don't. That is again, we haven't identified. There are many people who are living, and there are many things that we know. There are many things that we can do, but we don't want. We are not applying our mind towards that. What are the things that I can help with? How many of us do you think that will take a few minutes to think about it? I have this thing, and these people need this thing. How can I give them? If that thoughts is what now Krishna is saying, that if such people are not doing that, then their life is wasted, because the indriya ramo, aram, right? Aram, relaxing, and indriya ramo is they are just rejoicing their indriyas. What type of food I can eat, what type of movies I can watch, or how I can give pleasure to myself. My family should enjoy. I should enjoy. The people, my people, we have defined that narrow group, my people. Everyone will have that, my people. And if you are a person who just worried about yourself, wife, and 2 kids, then that my people for you will be that group. Or my people can be a little bit extended family. Or some people, something like, I belong to this caste. So my people will be like my caste, or my people will be the hometown from which I come from. I do a lot to my hometown, which is okay. Nobody stops you. But my people is not that narrow. Everyone in this world is my people. When are we going to think about it? Once the spiritual progress should lead us to a path where we start feeling within ourselves is the entire universe is us, ourselves. There is no difference between us and this universe at all. There's the universe, only that Brahman lives, and that Brahman also lives inside me. We don't have to have that universal view yet, but at least that global view, neighborhood view. Forget global view. In my neighborhood, how can I be of help? Instead of attaching that my people should slowly start growing, is what I'm saying. We all can start with, my people can be just me and my wife and my 2 kids, but slowly we'll have to mature into bigger and bigger and bigger scope, so that we all start doing things. That is what Krishna is asking here, that whoever who is not doing. So yajna, the reason I brought that up is yajna is all actually means that if we are doing for others, you think about it, happiness becomes natural. When we are doing help without expecting anything, give food, or give a dress, or give money, or to people who are in need, and look at the smile and happiness they have, unbeatable. We cannot get such kind of happiness within ourselves, no matter whatever indriya experience that we can have, whatever money that we pay, that happiness can never be attained, right? So that giving and doing, most importantly doing, the um, This body is primarily given to us for paropaharam. Paropaharam idam sariram. This body is not for us. This body, Brahman created with that idea. We think that this body is for ourselves, just to make ourselves. Nobody stops us. We can keep ourselves good. We can keep our people. But primary reason for this body is for others, taking care of others. And everyone should think that way also, right? Others will take care of us then. Once we start thinking that way, then others will take care of our needs. That is what Brahman is expecting, that Vishnu is expecting, that sacrifice yourself, your body, your thought, your actions, give it to others, because give it as a yajna means what? He is not going, he doesn't need any, he doesn't need any of our yajna where he will just, hoping for us to do. But he has created this universe. The people all who are living here are himself, that Brahman himself. By doing to others, by giving to others, by helping others, he is being glorified. The Deva Puja, whatever that we say, it is nothing but help others. Whoever you see on the street, whoever you encounter. Practical way of Deva Puja is that I may be slightly different and practical in the way that Gita is interpreted. But when you go with many other explanations, they will put it slightly differently. I don't want to make it that way, even though I am aware of it. People give religious explanation. People give explanation that Deva Puja, Yajna means do puja. All the time, recite Vishnu Sahasranama and do puja, which is absolutely you can do. That is also puja perfectly. But if everybody starts doing Vishnu Sahasranama, Deva Puja, who is going to help the beggar on the street, right? We wish that beggar also is rich enough and having, not rich enough, but at least having some food to recite the Vishnu Sahasranama. When people are dying of hunger, how can we sit and recite Vishnu Sahasranama? That's why I don't want to say that meaning, even though that meaning also is perfectly acceptable. But in my opinion, this verse for Gita is created so that we all cooperate with others and live as a one single unit than living to ourselves, right? That is why he says, do not indulge in indriya enjoyments, but do this yajna and run this wheel of nature. That is when the wheel can keep going on and on and on and on. Otherwise, if somebody in the wheel, if one person stops, we don't do the yajna, then the wheel cannot go on. If we are not doing the yajna, then see what happens in the wheel. If there's someone, most people are not doing it as part of others, they are not being helped, right? Then that yajna is not there. If yajna is not there, then in the previous shloka, Krishna already mentioned that devas, the divine angels, were created for mutual help between the humans and the devas. Deva in this case is rain gods. Rain gods were instructed that when these people do the yajna, then pour the rains. When the rains pour, the ground will just help the crops to grow. When the crops grow, people can eat and live. What happens if we don't do the yajna? Then the rains will not flow, because it is by law. Till we have this law of gravity. We respect that. When an apple is held here, earth will just attract it. You cannot lift it up. We cannot just make it stand in the space. Earth has the magnetic ability to attract. There is law of gravity. And laws of motion is also there. Newton's laws of motion, we are all reading it. This is also a law where if you don't perform the yajna, then the rains are not going to be, because that is what now Krishna has derived that law. Rains are not going to be given to this earth. And people who are aware of it, people who are not aware of it, we cannot say anything about them, right? Because they are at least okay. Now you all heard it, for good or for bad. Since we all are aware of it, we cannot escape. Now we cannot say that, no, I don't know about it, because you already know about it. We are ending up with a choice that we will have to start doing the yajna. I'm sure that all of us will start doing yajna, which means when doing actions, do not accept ownership, but instead give it to Krishna or Rama or Vishnu, whatever name that you think, right? Better to have one name, right? Let me say Krishna. Krishna Arpanamastu is the right thing. And it doesn't stop there. Looking out for opportunities of helping others, whatever way, without expecting. You will realize that that gives the extreme happiness. Last few years, when we are living 100 years, let all of us live 100 years. I don't want anything less for any one of us. 100 or even 110 years also, let's beat the record. But during those last years, when we are just lying down immobile, looking at the ceiling, we should just reconnect what all things that we have done, and our Atma should feel like Krishna made me do all these things good that I'm able to do because of him. That at that time also we should not take that, okay, I did it, everything. He made me do and we did it. We don't want to end up saying that, oh, so many things I enjoyed in this world, but what did I do? Who is standing in the door? People, how many people are standing at the door that, oh, I wanted this person to live longer. How many people are living? That will tell clearly how much we helped others in this society, right? I'm sure you all will do it. Think about it. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Shriyah Kantaya Kalyana Nidhaye Nidhayethinam Sri Venkata Nivasaya Srinivasaya Mangalam. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.